So I got in here, and within a couple of weeks, I was talking to my mom on the phone. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but something's different. Like, this is different from any other place I've been. Like, I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna stay and find out though. And 2 months in, I just decided to, kind of give it all up. I was like, God, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to do this because I can't do this. Like, I can't. And a guy who, I've been talking to Troy about my father for since I've been here. So 2 months I've been here, like my relationship with him, whether it was even worth repairing, whether it was even the guy who I don't know at the time, walks in and sits down in the hall where we do our studying over there. And he says, so I talked to your dad today. And I was like, you didn't talk to my dad. Like, yeah, whatever, dude. I just kind of shrugged him off. I was like, where'd you see my dad at? It's like, yeah, he works security down at the hospital, right? And I'm like, okay, even Troy doesn't know that. So maybe you did see my father. And I'm trying to be all cool and stuff. I'm like, what y'all talk about? He's like, well, just how proud he is of you and how
Wow.
awesome you're doing in this program and how he's really glad that you're doing what you're doing. And I'm like, Troy, I need to see you in your office now.
Right. Right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Enter the Mission podcast. I'm here with Gavin Smith. We're going to get to know him a little bit. Welcome to the show, Gavin.
Thanks for having me, bro.
No problem, man. So tell me something, man. You've come to Brother Bryan. What kind of brought you here? Tell us a little bit of your story.
How far back you want to go?
It's whatever you want to tell us.
So I was raised by some parents that were very young when they had me, 16 years old. They had no idea how to raise a kid. My father in my later years, towards my teenage years, got a little abusive, and that kind of drove me outside the home to seek validation. I had a girl that I was interested in, after getting kicked out of public school and getting put into private school because of threats of violence towards my classmates and all that kind of stuff. I had a girlfriend that I was interested in, and we were going out for a while that claimed I raped her.
Mm.
That was later, debunked. All of that was cleared or whatever. It wasn't to the authorities or anything like that, but it was like to my friends and stuff like that. But then she continued to hang around and want to be with me, and they kind of figured out from there that it was a false witness kind of thing. But that had a lot of impact on my life and a lot of validation seeking from women to prove that I wasn't the person she thought I was going to be,
Yeah.
or she said I was. So we ran through women, like we changed clothes, and that led us into a whole lot of the party scene, some weed and alcohol and other things that, cocaine and onto meth and heroin later on in
Mm.
life. I've been to prison because of my drug usage. I've been in and out of county jail most of my life. I've been to prison once, went to Draper, spent about a year there. So I got released from there. You would think that all these consequences would kind of add up, but at this point, I was beyond being able to do anything about it. Went straight back out of prison, straight back to the streets. Matter of fact, I went straight to the heroin dealer when I got out of prison, even though I knew I had to report to parole in the morning.
Mm.
I walked in, I told him, I'm fixing to burn that cup up. Like, I don't even care. Like, there's nothing I can do at this point.
Yeah.
Actually, EOS my prison sentence in a detox, Pearson Hall detox, because I went back to the streets again and again doing the same thing. And he was like, look, you can either, go to detox or you can go back to prison. And I was like, I think I'll take detox. So detox there, and EOS my sentence and made it out. And of course, I had to go celebrate. So,
Right
went
back
back
in.
out, heroin, meth, all the things. So fast forward, to probably 2, 3 years before coming here. I was crushed at Vulcan. I had a little stint where I was sober on Suboxone for 3 years.
Mm.
While I worked at Vulcan Industries in Moody, I was crushed by a machine there, and put in the hospital and had a traumatic brain injury, brachial plexus injury, where I couldn't move any of this. I had to relearn how to do all the things.
Mm.
So we told them not to send me home on any pain pills because I thought that would be a very bad idea for me.
Yeah.
And they told me that I was going to be in a lot of pain. They disagreed with me. Well, they sent me home with it. And of course, I went and busted that script of it immediately.
Relapse.
Yeah. So as soon as I did that, it was off to the races, and my brain said I need more, and my wife was happy to oblige me. We were both in addiction together, and we had been on again, off again for like 7 years at this point. We got married when I was like 19, 20. We got married because my grandmother told us that we couldn't stay at her house unless we were married, and so I went and got married. This wasn't a commitment thing. This wasn't a
Convenience.
this is a convenience thing. So we both ended up in addiction together, on and off again for a long time. Ended up, I forgot where I was. Ended up, I forgot where I was now. What was the last thing?
You're slowly getting to here. You got crushed.
Oh yeah. So
got back into opiate addiction.
when I got back into addiction, they wouldn't refill my medication. So I was looking, trying to get him to refill my medication. My wife's like, well, I got something that'll, I know somebody that's got something that'll help you. And I ended up back on heroin immediately.
Yeah.
I almost immediately fall in sacks, and I'm shooting up without being able to move my arm. She's having to hit me because I can't even move my arm. And like, I didn't care anymore. Like at this point, I really didn't care whether I lived or died. Like I really didn't.
Would you say that was like a rock bottom?
Almost.
Okay.
We're fixing to get there.
All right.
There's a lot more pain to come.
Sure.
So I lost my job because I was scared to go back and because I relapsed. My wife left me. My car got repoed. My brother passed away from a fentanyl overdose while he was in ALR. Curled up in his bed and never woke up again. I went to his funeral. I was so high at his funeral that I really don't remember anything. Like I don't even know how I got the car home. My mother gave me his car to drive. I have no idea how I got the car home. I looked out in the yard the next morning. It was parked in the yard, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!"
Yeah.
So you would think all of that would get me, but I'm still shooting dope like it's nothing. And I had a case where I got some bad dope, and it sent me into like, I don't know what it was, trash fever or what it was. I had blinding headaches, couldn't really function. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Somebody called the ambulance. Nobody at the house would call the ambulance. I had to get in the house, in the car myself, my brother's car, on the way to the gas station to get somebody to call paramedics. Like nobody would call them at the house I was at. Right. I woke up in the hospital, and my mother is once again looking over me in a hospital bed. I've been in hospitals not my whole life, so she's once again waking up to her looking over me and my sister looking at me and going, I thought this would have changed when your brother overdosed. Like I would have thought that would have made a difference.
A wake up call. Yeah.
She's like, you've got to do something. We can't keep doing this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I got set up to go to, went to, what is that place over there on, it's right around the corner from here where you do the paperwork and it's a resource center. They try and send you out to different rehabs or whatever.
Yeah,
but anyways, they set me up to go to what's the name of that place? Not Alethea House, the Fellowship House.
Okay.
By the way, I've been to like a lot of rehabs.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a common story for some folks,
Alethea House, UAB Drug Free, Bradford. I was outpatient at Bradford, but still, all kinds of places that just I wasn't in it. Like I didn't have the heart to be in it, and then by the time that I was invested and wanted to get sober, everybody stopped believing in me because, you've been to rehab so many times. It's like, I don't know if you're really serious this time.
Yeah, become a professional rehabber, they say. Yeah.
So we went to, did the paperwork, ended up trying to go to Fellowship House, and they're like, you're just going to have to stop by and talk to them. Well, my Uncle Paul, who, who's been to the program about 6 years before me, I think.
Good
dude. Ended up calling my mother and was like, absolutely not. Let me talk to him. And he talked me into going to Brother Bryan. I got here and really, like when I got here, I was shown so much love by all the people because of who my uncle was. And they really wanted to bring me in and show me how to do what he had done. Like,
yeah.
I knew my uncle on the streets. That was a gangster for real. Like that dude did not let you stand in between what he wanted. And if you got in his way, God help you. Like really. And his life just completely changed. And I knew because I wasn't allowed at his house anymore. Yeah. Like I wasn't allowed around him. I wasn't allowed to.
Transformation.
Yeah. Like there was nothing that he kept a watch on me. I learned later he kept a watch on me. And when I was ready, he was ready to help me out. But so I got in here, and within a couple of weeks, I was talking to my mom on the phone. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but something's different. Like this is different from any other place I've been. Like, I don't know. I was like, I'm going to stay and find out, though. And 2 months in, I just decided to, kind of give it all up. I was like, God, you're going to have to, you're going to have to do this because I can't do this. Like, I can't. And a guy who, I've been talking to Troy about my father since I've been here. So 2 months I've been here, like my relationship with him, whether it was even worth repairing, whether it was even the guy who I don't know at the time, walks in and sits down in the hall where we do our studying over there. And he says, so I talked to your dad today. And I was like, you didn't talk to my dad. Like, whatever, dude. I just kind of shrugged him off. I was like, where'd you see my dad at? It's like, yeah, he works security down at the hospital, right? And I'm like, okay, even Troy doesn't know that. So maybe you did see my father. And I'm trying to be all cool and stuff. I'm like, what y'all talk about? He's like, well, just how proud he is of you and how awesome you're doing in this program and how he's really glad that you're doing what you're doing. And I'm like, Troy, I need to see you in your office now.
God, no, we got to discuss this.
So I'm like talking to him, and then like a week later, I'm in chapel with Troy, and he's preaching about Samson and how he sees Samson in all of us, and how most people would be dead if they had to go through the stuff that we went through, but God saved us for a reason, and how strong we are and how capable we are of doing the things that he needs us to do. And I just started bawling like a baby. Like my whole row was, but I stayed there an extra 5 minutes just sobbing. Like I couldn't do anything but. And since then, I've just committed. Like I committed. I asked Troy for an extra Bible study every week. Like every single week, I was like, give me a book. Give me a book. What do you want me to read?
Right.
And then we'd walk around and discuss it.
Yeah.
And just, it grew from there to doing, and of course I have my people at Cultivate that came and picked me up and showed me love when I felt the most unlovable.
Yeah.
And drew me into a community and showed me how to do the things that I wanted to do. So it's kind of how we got here and kind of part of what the other question.
Yeah, for sure. So if I can just kind of recap in a thematic way, it sounds like you grew up looking for validation out of a father, wanting that love from a father, trying to get validation out of relationships with females. It was toxic.
Not only that, but I also wanted validation from like mother figures because my mother did absolutely nothing about it. Like, what? Not absolutely, but pretty much nothing about it.
Yeah.
So I was seeking validation outside the home from both parental figures.
Yeah. And so you were looking for all this validation, didn't get it, and then you eventually went to get this pleasure source out of drugs, led you into this crazy toxic life, got to rock bottom, and decided to give it all to Jesus. And so now that brings us kind of to when you graduated, moving into graduating, and now to now. So kind of what's going on with you now?
This is my favorite part. So God has since restored my relationship with my father, number one.
Awesome.
I got a letter from him saying that he wants to work on our relationship. I almost always cry when I talk about this. So
feel free to cry, bro.
Anything for the views.
No.
So it's my whole family's relationship has been restored. Really, like he wrote me a letter telling me about how proud he is of the man I've become and all the things. And like when I gave testimony at CR for the first time, he was there, which was kind of awkward. Not gonna lie, you talk about the guy while he's in the room, but
yeah.
I've decided a long time ago that I would have no fear doing this. Like I would talk about whatever it was that was on me, and I won't let anything hold me back from telling about God and what he's done in my life. So when we had that moment, we hugged or whatever and at CR, and like we've had increasing stuff ever since. Like I bought him, see these things on Amazon or something where it's a little book. It's like, Dad, I want to hear your story. And he fills it out and tells you. And I was like, well, they heard, it had one for Mom and one for Dad. I was like, well, they heard my testimony. Now I'm going to give it to them and let them tell me theirs. Yeah. So they're filling that out, as we speak or throughout the
You're in a season of that. Yeah.
So he's also, not only has he restored that family, he's given me a family at CR, at Cultivate Church in Alabaster, at Grace and Truth, at Brother Bryan, at there's so many things that he's put in my life that just I would have never thought that I could have this fulfilling of a life like this many people that love me and know me for who I am and actually love me for who I am. I don't seek validation. Well, not all the time. I do it occasionally, but I don't seek validation from anyone but God most of the time. But these people are constantly telling me what a good person I am and how good I'm doing and how proud they are of me. And especially people here, the guys here look up to me. Like I'm allowed to take, like, I'm in CR leadership now. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. I'm in CR leadership now. Like I get to show people what God showed me, and what through these other people that I'm in community with. I have been put in rooms where I don't deserve to be. Like, I was on a news broadcast when I first got here about Brother Bryan mission, and I'm like, I guess I told God, I was like, when I first surrendered, I was like, if you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it. Like, all the things you do for me, whatever you do, I'll talk about. And then they come and tap me, and they're like, hey, Jim wants to see you upstairs. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. Why does the director of the program want to see me? I walk upstairs, and it's a news broadcast, and I was like, oh, you took that seriously, huh? Okay, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So I've been put on stages and platforms and rooms that I shouldn't be in. Like, I really don't feel like all these people that have been doing the God thing their whole life, and they've been serving God their whole life faithfully, and it's like He just took me and put me in rooms like that. And my opinion matters, and what I've gone through matters, and He's turned all of that into a purpose-filled life.
For sure. God takes the things that are unwise to shame the wise, So yeah, for sure. Well, tell me this, Gavin. So obviously, there's men out there that are thinking about coming to the program. They're kind of in your shoes many years ago, and they don't know for sure, or their families are looking for somebody like your Uncle Paul's like, hey, I know a place that this guy needs to go. Kind of talk to that a little bit. Like, what would you say to those guys or those families?
Do it. Like, I mean, it's so easy to sit here now and say do it, but it's the best decision I've ever made. Like, it really is the best decision I've ever made to go into a Christ-based fellowship program to teach me how to do what I needed to know how to do. If I'd have known this when I was a kid and been discipled when I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have had all these problems. But now it's given me the ability to change my life in ways that I never thought I would. Like, it's done so much for me that I can't sit here. Like, okay, so I have gone through not only a mind transformation, and my heart posture has changed. It's also put me in places where I've gotten a job. I'm in school with a full-time job, making $20 an hour. Like, it's not chump change.
Yeah.
I'm in school in an residential electrician program, that vocational rehabilitation that I met through you guys. They paid for the entire program, paid for my tools twice because they were stolen from me. So when they got stolen, I gave them a police report and they got them back.
Yeah.
All these things would not have been possible without the first step inside that door. Like, all of you guys, I've talked to every single person that's all I hung out with when I got here, with staff members. Like, I just rotated with staff, because once you start leveling up, you want to see the guy at the next level and go, okay, what's he got? Okay, what's he got? And just take the next step. Well, that's kind of what I did when I got here. And because of Paul and all the guys that showed me love when I got here, it was the easiest transformation process ever. Like, it was simple. It's not easy. Let me take it back. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Just drop the attitude of I know everything and walk in the doors. It's that simple. Like, it's really, I had to be broken of that by Troy when I first got here, because I started quoting scripture to Troy, because I was raised in church.
Sure.
And he was like, hey, we need to have a talk. And he kind of busted it down. He's like, dude, it makes me look at you like you're up here, and I expect you to act like you're up here. Just be where you're at. So just walk in the doors, drop the pretenses, and just do it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's good.
It gets better and easier the further along you go. Yeah. Like, it really does.
Yeah. It's awesome. And I guess the last question would be, we have volunteers, we have people that support us financially, just all those people that are not seen. What would you say to those folks, those that are maybe thinking about helping Brother Bryan? What would you say to those folks?
To the ones that help Brother Bryan, you guys saved my life. Period. That's it. Like, I wouldn't be here without you. To the ones that are thinking about supporting Brother Bryan, it's okay if you don't, but we would really, really appreciate it if you would. That's more people and more lives that we're able to touch and show the only way, in my opinion, of how to recover from all of this, which is God and Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I love Him so much. And I wouldn't have that without the people that did this for me.
Man, get me emotional over here. Is there onions in the room or what? Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, hey guys, that's gonna conclude our time here with Gavin. I really appreciate him. Thank you for guys for viewing this, and I hope it edified and encouraged you. We'll see you next time. Peace.